Dumelang, welcome to Face the Nation. My name is Clement Manyatela. Great to have you with us here on SABC News. On the show tonight, after a rocky start, Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee investigating allegations of corruption in the criminal justice system kicked off its proceedings today, with KZN Commissioner Dangor taking the hot seat. He is still giving testimony at that parliamentary inquiry. MPs are expected to start questioning him on his evidence tomorrow. The chair of that committee is Soviet Lekganyane, and he joins us tonight to reflect on day one of the parliamentary inquiry while they are still on a dinner break. Also on the show, what is the status of the activists who were detained by Israeli forces while part of the global Sumud Flotilla? The group was part of the more than 400 other activists from around the world who were intercepted while trying to reach Gaza to deliver aid. Israel has maintained that it detained the activists as they were approaching an active combat zone, but our government says they were in international waters and the passage of humanitarian aid is guaranteed under international law. The DG at the Department of International Relations, Zane Dangor, joins us tonight. We'll also speak to the Ambassador of South Africa to Jordan, Tselani Mokoena. And then later, what is it going to take to break the cycle of repeat offenders? Parole reoffending has risen to over 50%, with 1 in 10 violent repeat offenders. Many believe that these are signs that our parole system leans too heavily towards offenders and often overlooks the needs and voices of victims. The Minister of Correctional Services is Dr. Pieter Groenewald. He speaks to us tonight. But first, my comment. The Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee investigating allegations of corruption and infiltration in the criminal justice system started its hearings today, while the first witness being that man who has made the claims, the KZN Police Commissioner, Ntantlam Konazi. It was quite a rocky start, though, to that committee meeting. You've got some members of parliament who were unhappy about the sworn statements that General Mkhwanazi had deposed to the committee, which was a supplementary statement and had references of the Madlanga Commission. So they wanted General Mkhwanazi's statement to be clearly directed to the committee because the parliamentary inquiry is a separate process from the Madlanga Commission.
I don't understand on which basis do you want General Mkhwanazi to take an oath? Because before us, we have no statement of General Mkhwanazi. Of a supplementary statement. Supplementing what? Because he must first depose to us a statement, and if there is anything to be supplemented, it should be done so. The statement we have is a statement he disposed to the commission. We have said to this legal team here, time and again, that we are not a junior committee of the commission. There is no statement of General Mkhwanazi before us. There is a statement of General Mkhwanazi to the commission. And therefore, in the absence of his statement to the Ad Hoc Committee of Parliament, on which basis do you want him to take an oath? You should know, Chair, that a supplementary statement should be supplementing the original affidavit, if you wish to say so.
So that's what Julius Malema argued, and of course other members of parliament felt that there was no need to amend the statement. But after an adjournment and deliberations, it was announced that amendments have been made to that statement to indicate it's an original statement prepared exclusively for the Ad Hoc Committee.
Apologies from our side, the evidence presenters, for the delay and the inconvenience caused, and we also thank the General for his patience and his cooperation. And thank you for the opportunity to meet with him again, to consider and to consult about some of the issues that were raised before the adjournment. We have amended the statement, the original statement, by deleting reference to initial and supplementary, deleting that, and also at the old paragraph 8, we've amended it to read as follows. I consulted with the committee's evidence leaders on 25 and 26 September 2025. This is my statement to the committee in response to the terms of reference, where I deal with certain factual matters canvassed in Annexure NSM 3, which is the statement made before the Madlanga Commission. I include those details as an annexure to this statement.
Now, once that was clear, General Mkhwanazi shared his testimony and explained how the police got to learn of this criminal syndicate operating in Gauteng with, of course, the help of the NPA and the courts, as alleged by him.
In 2024, the Gauteng Organized Crime Unit were investigating a case. That case then resulted into the threats that were directed towards the investigation team. That threat was also requested, the threat assessment and the support to the investigation team was also requested by the prosecutor that was working on the case. And subsequent to that, crime intelligence were invited to conduct a threat assessment in Gauteng. And when the threat assessment was confirmed against those detectives that were working on that case, then there were recommendations that the South African Police Service tactical units of Gauteng must provide protection to the members that were working on that case. And then crime intelligence decided to deploy counterintelligence teams to investigate further on these threats. And when they conducted that further investigation on the threat, they discovered that the threat was actually coming from some criminal syndicates that are running, that are within that province of Gauteng. As a result of that, then crime intelligence decided to register a case to investigate as part of counterintelligence investigation.
And this testimony will continue from 8:30. You can go over to the SABC YouTube page if you want to check that out. I, for one, was confused to see that there was also confusion in the beginning of that committee meeting about this issue of the statement, given that the committee made it clear from the onset already that this ad hoc committee was an independent, separate process to the Madlanga Commission and doesn't exist to supplement or juniorize that commission. So the question we're asking you tonight is, how much confidence do you have in this parliamentary committee investigating General Mkhwanazi's claims? Do you have confidence that the politicians will seek the truth and not grandstand and use this platform as political theater? You can send us a WhatsApp voice note right now on 078-459-1897. There, remember to tell us your name and your surname and where you're sending that voice note from, and please keep it at 30 seconds. Alternatively, you can send us an X on @FaceTheNation SABC. All right, let's start this conversation now with Parliament's Ad Hoc Committee chairperson, that is Soviet Lekganyane. They are currently on a dinner break, and I really appreciate you making time for us before you return to the committee. Mr. Lekganyane, thanks for making time. Good evening.
Good evening to you, Clement, and your viewers. I believe you had a fruitful day.
Yes, I did, and I hope you did yourself. Let's start at the beginning. When the committee started today, there were some concerns raised by some members of parliament that the statement of General Mkhwanazi was not up to standard. They didn't want it to be a supplementary statement and have anything to do with the Madlanga Commission, because this is a completely separate process. Why was this even a debate to start with?
Look, first of all, I think we should thank the members of the committee for their agility and their robustness, because the statement made reference to the statement that was made at the commission. as an initial statement. So in this case, the statement that was presented before the committee was construed to be a supplementary statement. Of course, it depends on how a person understands these things. Apparently, it's a practice in law, which I don't want to go to, but the strongest feeling of the members of parliament was that the statement deposited before the committee should be an original statement that addresses itself to parliament than to make reference to statement that has been made elsewhere outside parliament. And secondly, as the chairperson of the committee, I also want to take responsibility for the developments that happened in the morning. For sure, you know, we could have lost about 4 hours.
Yeah.
I think all of us might have seen that statement before because it was circulated with us 3 days in advance. Whatever defects that could have been there on the statement could have been corrected, but don't blame anybody. I take the responsibility for everything that happened this morning. As the chair of the committee, I think I could have done better.
Yeah.
And I think we learned from the process. We will become better next time.
No, absolutely, as long as there are some lessons here. Because, of course, from the onset, as you were deliberating on the terms of reference, some MPs made it clear already, this is a while back, that this is a separate independent process that mustn't be confused with the Madlanga Commission. It's supposed to do its work as if the Madlanga Commission doesn't even exist. Didn't the evidence leader, though, meet with General Mkhwanazi? Because wouldn't that then at least try and, you know, clear out any confusion and ensure that the statement that's being prepared is prepared exclusively for the work of this parliamentary committee?
Look, the statement was properly prepared. There were consultations which were made with General Mkhwanazi. The mistake that was made was when the statement was coined as a supplementary statement, and secondly, the use of the phrase my initial statement, as if the general had already made a statement with us as the ad hoc committee. I think those were some of the aspects of the statement that made members uncomfortable. We had to break for the time that we did. And I must also apologize on the part of the media for whatever inconveniences that we could have caused to allow the senior counsel and General Mkhwanazi to meet and iron out whatever defects that could have been.
Yeah.
And you might have noticed that when they came back, all of us were satisfied that the statement now meets the standard that everybody has expected.
Yeah. How does this hiccup earlier today help you manage this process going forward? Because I imagine some MPs may want to get excited and reference what was said at the Madlanga Commission, for instance. What's the approach going to be going forward? How are you going to be ensuring and being intentional about separating these two processes?
Look, number one is that the two statements complement each other. We are also using the statement that was made at the Madlanga Commission as an annexure to our main statement, which we are using today. For sure, there will also be other annexures that members will make a reference to. But what is very, very critical, as you ask, the lessons of today make us to be on our toes, never to rest on our laurels. We must keep a hawk's eye on everything that appears before us. Take notes on everything that is being presented here so that we can sharpen ourselves represent the people of South Africa in a better way.
Okay. Will the people that get mentioned or are implicated during this testimony be given the opportunity to appear before the committee to defend themselves should they wish? And do you even have the powers to summon those who get mentioned that you think as a committee should appear?
Number one, Clement, is that a person whose name is being mentioned, they can make an application themselves to say, my name has been mentioned before you. I want to request you to give me an opportunity to come before you. They can do that before the 17th of October. And secondly, as presentations are made, committee members are taking notes. And at some point, the committee will meet and decide on the list of witnesses that it may want to compile for them to come and appear in the second phase of the proceedings.
Okay. Has the former minister, Becky Cele, responded to your request for him to appear before the committee?
We have concluded consultations with him, and then the committee will just have to schedule a date on which he's appearing before us.
So he's happy to come and appear?
Yeah, he is happy. He has been here. He met with the legal team. Consultations have been concluded.
Yeah. What about the president?
So it's just for the committee to...
Yeah. What about the president? Because some members of parliament want him to appear.
There is no decision on the part of the committee to invite the president. If that decision is made, he will be invited. And if that decision is not made, he will not be invited.
Okay. Before I let you go, there are some concerns from some South Africans that this ad hoc committee is nothing but a sideshow, that, you know, what it's going to give these members of parliament a chance to grandstand as opposed to expose the truth. Are you worried at all about that?
Look, I'm very worried. My greatest worry is the one that I expressed on the first day of the committee meeting, that the Afro-Barometer report has shown that only 27% of the South Africans still have confidence in the abilities of Parliament to represent them. So when they continue to excoriate us the way they do, I take it as a challenge on behalf of the committee to say, look, the optics don't look good outside there. Maybe we need to up our socks. Can we conduct ourselves as if we were a prisoner who has been released on parole? Prove to your community that you are rehabilitating. If we really want to reignite the confidence of South Africans in the abilities of Parliament, we have to work even harder, and every criticism that they make against us, let's take it in positive light and say, maybe we do not see the thing that South Africans are seeing. Instead of being defensive, let's improve on how we do our work, and maybe one day we can get the credit.
Yeah. Soviet Lekganyane, the chair of that ad hoc committee investigating allegations made by the KZN Police Commissioner. Thank you so much for making time for us. Let's release you so you can go back to that committee, which will be resuming anytime 10 minutes or so from now, 8:30. And again, if you want to watch the proceedings as General Mkhonazi continues with his testimony, you can go over to the SABC YouTube page. To remind you of the question we've been asking you tonight, what hope do you have that these politicians are actually going to get to the crux of the matter? Because they are politicians at the end of the day. And there is some concern out there that some of them may just want to grandstand politically and use this platform to somehow, I don't know, campaign or demonstrate to South Africans what they are capable of. But this is not the opportunity for that. This is an opportunity to seek the truth, to try and uncover the truth. Are you hopeful that they will be able to do that? You can send us a WhatsApp voice note, 078-459-1897. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. Government officials say the South African Flotilla activists arrested by the Israeli Defense Force last week have safely arrived in Jordan, marking the first step in their journey home. The delegation was welcomed by South Africa's ambassador to Jordan, Her Excellency Tselani Mukwena. Minister Ronald Lamola expressed gratitude to all those who helped secure their safe passage, while stressing that government's role was purely diplomatic. The activists are expected to arrive at OR Tambo International Airport tomorrow morning around 9:30. Let's speak now to the Director General at the Department at DERCO, Zane Dangor, who joins us now via video link. DG, thank you so much for making time for us. Good evening.
Good evening, Clement.
First of all, where are the activists right now as we speak? Are they still in Jordan? When are they expected to take that flight back home?
So they're flying from Jordan tonight, and they'll be arriving in the morning.
Okay.
In South Africa. Yeah.
Where exactly were they detained in Israel, and what were the conditions there? Because some activists who have been released have decried brutal treatment. You know, they were called terrorists even by some of the ministers in that Israeli government.
So they were held in a high security prison in Israel on the border, close to the border with Egypt. Mm-hmm. It's a prison that is notorious. It's one where, where one of the ministers, Israeli ministers, has said they deliberately want to keep those they've abducted from the flotilla so that they experience the same kind of harsh treatment that the Israelis give to others that they imprison, other Palestinians that they imprison in that particular high security prison. We haven't had a chance to have a full debrief with the 6 South Africans that have been abducted and have subsequently been released, but we will do so when they arrive to get a better picture of just exactly what the treatment was for them and others. Mm. So, we're getting different pictures. I think that when we got to see them through one of our staff members working with a Palestinian legal organization, Adala, was providing the legal services for them and all the other abductees. They did tell our team that they're in good spirits and that they were well treated. Of course, they complained about food and water. But of course, we'll get a better debrief once they land.
Yeah. What reasons did Israel give for detaining them, or as the president said, abducting them? Because they were in international waters, from what we understand.
They were in international waters. So firstly, just abducting somebody from international waters is already a breach of international legal norms. Also, it's a flotilla going to provide humanitarian aid. And there's an instruction from the International Court of Justice for Israel not to hinder the provision of humanitarian aid. So it was an abduction. It's not an imprisonment. It's not an arrest. It's an abduction from international waters. The reason is really one that Israel does not want the siege of Gaza to be broken at all. So there's been many flotillas over the years. Some of the breaches have been more violent than others. Can't remember the exact year, but there was a flotilla where people were seriously injured in previous abductions.
Because Israel came out to say that they decided to intercept these activists because they were approaching an active combat zone.
Look, I think the siege of Gaza has been for decades. There's been many attempts to break that siege. This particular flotilla follows on from one that was attempted a few months ago. Some of the same people that abducted then were abducted now, the Swedish activists, specifically. So, whether one was going into a combat zone or not, if you listen to the Israeli Navy person on the loudspeaker, they didn't even use the word combat zone, they used the word, it's a blockaded zone. So essentially, I do think that it's really about continuing the siege and ensuring that no humanitarian aid reaches Gaza.
Yeah. These activists were seeking to deliver aid to Gaza, as you say. What happens now to that mission? Do you know?
Look, I think obviously the aid was confiscated. What I do get, and I don't have confirmation of this, but there are many other boats apparently now from other parts of the world, in the Mediterranean, also now heading towards Gaza. So I think this attempt to break the siege from activists is going to continue.
What role has government played in the release and even transportation of these activists? I saw Derko's statement earlier today trying to clarify government's role in the delegation's return home and clarifying who was also facilitating the financial support.
So we worked with, in the first instance, the representatives of the solidarity groups who've been organizing the flotilla both internationally and locally. We worked with the legal advocacy group that was representing the abductees, all of them, which is the Palestinian legal service group called Adala. So we were engaging with them to get access. Of course, we then had to also engage with the Israeli government to provide our team from Ramallah. As you know, we don't have a formal diplomatic presence in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. Our team from Ramallah in Palestine on the West Bank to get access. We got that access together with Adala, where we could then firstly, ascertain about the well-being of our nationals. We then worked with a range of governments, Turkey, Jordan. We had engagements with Qatar, even Malaysia offered to assist, to look at what's the best option for getting them out of Israel into safer territory. In the end, it was the engagement with the Jordanian government who ensured that they will then accept them through the land border in Jordan, the Allenby crossing. So it was engaging with both the government of Israel, but also working through other governments who sought to provide different levels of support, including safe passage to Jordan. In terms of payment, of course, if it was absolutely necessary, we would have made sure that we do provide support. But the solidarity groups and the families, once we assured them that we have secured their safe passage through Jordan, they booked the tickets themselves.
All right.
The tickets themselves. Yeah.
Zane, Dangor.
So, there was misinformation about the taxpayers bearing the brunt for the work of advocates.
Yeah.
It's not something we begrudge, but it was misinformation.
Yeah. No, thank you for clarifying that. The Director General at DERCO, Zane Dangor, I really appreciate your time on Face the Nation this evening. After the break, we're going to speak to the ambassador, South African ambassador to Jordan, Ambassador Tselani Mukwena. She is the person that received these activists after they were released and after they were abducted by Israel. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. Let's take you to Parliament now, where the KZN Police Commissioner, General Ntantla Mkhonazi, is continuing with his testimony at the parliamentary inquiry.
Chair. Because one of the other reasons was some work study, which again we've seen it and we have a copy of it, but it's not part of the record up until now.
You see, the other challenge that the members may have is that they do not have that statement of Minister Mkhunu now. And if we use it to ask the general questions, the day Minister Mkhunu comes here, members make reference to the answers that the general would have given or to the questions that you have fielded. And then he says, but at that time, I have not given you my signed statement, or at that time, you also did not have my statement. It may be problematic. So I'm pleading that let's proceed in another line.
Maybe a suggestion, if I may, Chair, is the letter will be made available before tomorrow or tomorrow. So when honourable members have an opportunity to ask their questions, they can refer to the letter.
I don't have a problem with that. When we have it here, if, for instance, you say, give me 10 or 15 minutes of your time because we now have the material here, let me proceed with it. It's okay. I'm trying to avoid a situation where, remember, the members are taking notes and they must come and ask questions tomorrow. If they get lost, it's going to be difficult for them to contribute meaningfully. So let's just accept it that that piece of evidence is not available now, and you make a commitment that it will be available tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, let's deal with it at that time when it's available.
We can leave it at that, Chair.
Yeah, Honorable Ngola, Honorable Sols.
Thank you very much. No, just in addition to this which has been said now, there is a letter or an affidavit that which the General says was written by the National Commissioner on the 4th of July to him as the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal. Understanding that the second witness is the National Commissioner, can that also be made available as part of the bundle? So that we're able to thank you, Chair.
Agreed. Honorable Sols.
Chair, a part of whose evidence will that letter be?
I beg yours, Honorable Member, I haven't heard you.
The letter that Senior Counsel is making reference to, we are dealing with the witness statement from General Mkhwanazi. The letter that Senior Counsel is referring to.
Or the letter from
Someone has.
Meridi Haas.
Yes. A part of whose evidence is that letter?
Yeah.
Because we are dealing with General Mkhwanazi's witness statement. It's not part of General Mkhwanazi's witness statement. So whose evidence is that letter part of? It can't be an annexure to this either. Is the Senior Counsel now submitting his own evidence?
Did you hear the question, Senior Counsel? The Honorable Member is asking the letter from Meridi Haas, which is the basis of your questions to the defense that maybe the minister would possibly give. Who deposed that letter with yourselves?
That letter is going to be annexed or part of Minister Mkunu's statement and to be dealt with in his evidence when he gives evidence to this committee. But we thought it prudent, and it was discussed with the General during our consultations, that we would also put the version of other witnesses who are still going to testify to him for his comment. That's the sole purpose. I'm not seeking to introduce the letter. In fact, the letter was then in consultation shown to General Mkhwanazi, so he has seen the letter. I don't want to make a further issue of it. All I'm putting to him are 4 reasons that Minister Mkhunu has given to us as to why or what informed his decision of 31 December 2024 for his comment.
Yeah,
The one was the WhatsApps, which we also don't have. The 2 was the Han letter. The 3rd was budget, which we did discuss with him and which he's aware of. And the other one was a work study, which again, we don't have we have a copy and we have sight of it, but it's not annexed at the moment to any affidavits.
I understand where you are coming from, that you might have understood that General Mkhwanazi may not have time again with the committee to respond to whatever could be said in his absence. But ideally, if the members had a sworn statement from Minister Mkunu, it was going to help them because they will be understanding where your questions come from to say, General Mkhwanazi, in your absence, the following may be said. And at that time, you may not have chance to answer for yourself. So, but in the absence of a sort statement from Minister Mkunu, you become his advocate. So it must be him or his statement speaking for himself or on his behalf. But if it becomes you speaking for him in the absence of his statement, it becomes unfair to the general. And I don't know if, for instance, because if we don't have it, means he also does not have a copy of that statement which Minister Mkunu would have made with you during the consultations. And I think that is exactly the point that members are raising to say, we don't have those documents, and it becomes difficult for us to follow the proceedings in the absence of those documents. Can I take Honorable Sango and Honorable Sols, Honorable Malebo?
Thank you, Chair. Unfortunately, I think this goes back to the question that I had asked on the procedure. I want to be sympathetic to the senior counsel to say that given the fact that he believed that the general would not be available to answer, he then took this approach. But it's neither procedurally correct, nor is it fair both to the committee as well as to the general. And listening to the SC now, it seems like there's a lot more issues that he still wants to introduce which do not form part of the general statement or our bundle. And that is why I had asked, are we getting supplementary affidavits from the general? Because had we done that, then we would have all these other issues that he was requested to answer. Now we're sitting with absolutely nothing, and it doesn't assist. And I'm worried that if the remainder of the questioning is based on all these other affidavits that the evidence leaders have seen that we don't have, then it's an exercise in futility because we would not be able to engage with that. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Sols.
Chair, the assumption would then be that this letter that we are talking about has been a consultation with the minister. A consultation that we have not been a part of, a consultation that the documents we have not seen. Now, senior counsel extracts one letter out of the entire consultation and deems it necessary to be asked here when we are dealing with what General Mkhwanazi has submitted. It is a material wrong, Chair. Even if we get that letter later, that letter forms part of the statement of the minister. It is at that time when we must deal with that issue, not here.
Honorable Malema.
Chair, we've been observing and we thought we must not interrupt. This process must just flow as is, but where there is material crisis, we need to intervene. Evidence leader. This is General Mkhwanazi's evidence. You lead him on that. You don't come across as if you are now cross-examining him instead of leading him. If they had a discussion with General Mkhwanazi, they should have put that in this package and lead him on that. And when you lead him on that, you make reference, go to annex, what. Are you there, General? What is your take on this matter? Not wanting to shock him in the process and shock all of us, and then still be an evidence leader. I think you captured it correctly when you say the SC now becomes the advocate of a minister, that the minister is going to come here and say 1, 2, 3. Let's lead General with what we have before us, which they have accepted, that it's enough for him to come and answer questions here, and not talk about things that are not before us, and tomorrow they don't even come. So please, let's leave that line of questioning and let's proceed.
Honorable Skosar.
Thank you, Chair. You know, I thought we were back. We are going to flow. And it's unfortunate that it appears now that our evidence leader is bringing something which we don't have as members. And General Mkhwanazi doesn't have as well any knowledge. And it's quite disturbing that our evidence leader looks like now he's defending the minister who's suspended or who's on special leave here in his absence. I think it would be fair if there's any information, let's have this information too. Like my colleague is saying that it's like now he's an advocate for the minister.
There were 209 murders by parolees over the three-year period. We talk of 702 murders. When we talk about rape, there were 303 the previous year.
Sure.
And over the 3 years, we talk of 629. So that is totally unacceptable.
That's quite concerning. The Department of Correctional...
And honestly speaking, Chair, we don't want to be a laughingstock of this nation. We can't allow this thing to really going on with impunity and unabated here. It's unfortunate. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Senior Counsel, do you want to say something?
No, thank you, Chair. I'll proceed on to the next topic.
Yeah, but let me say this to you. When we came back at 3 o'clock up until the time we broke for dinner, we did very well. Your work has been very impressive. And I want to say to you that sometimes even the best defenders score own goals. But the moment of conceding an own goal must not take your quality away from you. Raise your head and face the next game. Let's proceed.
Sorry that I'm performing like my team, but maybe I'll support another team tomorrow. Sorry, Chair. May I proceed on to the next topic?
Yes.
Thank you. General, again, sorry about that. Can we go to the meeting that was held before the Portfolio Committee on the 5th of March? You deal with it at, it's at paragraph, or at page 22 to 26 of your affidavit. You'll see on page 22, paragraph 44, the background and status of the political killings task team was on the agenda. Details of your interview, which we've already touched on Police Day 2025. That was in January, was it 25 January? So in that meeting, if I may direct your attention to paragraph 48, where you say, I also took the opportunity to address the committee and raise concerns that I had regarding a close associate of the minister, Mr. Brown Mogotsi, who, although outside of the SAPS was in possession of confidential information relevant to the SAPS. My exact comments are as follows, and the quote is on page 23 and 24 and ends at 25. You recall those comments?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you want to comment on it any further?
Yeah, well,
Or do you can look at your affidavit at paragraph 49 and 50 and 51. Yeah, to 51, which is on page 26.
I'm not sure if I follow you. So you want me to comment about what I presented or the response from the minister? The paragraph you're referring to is 49.
Well, what you said, and perhaps an opportunity if you want to elaborate or expand or explain further, then feel free to do that. And also, yes, then address the minister's response during that meeting and his response subsequently.
Yeah, but perhaps, Chairperson and honorable members, if I were to summarize here, when we appeared before the Portfolio Committee on the 5th of March 2025, a presentation that I made verbally, which I think ran just over 40 minutes, I was raising issues that were dominating in the media space, honorable chair and members. The incidents that seems to paint a negative picture towards the organization, and in the main, focusing at crime intelligence. There were some also negative things that were directed at individuals within the South African Police Service, including myself, that I was talking about. So I narrated in details in terms of what got into the media space that came from the incident of a correctional service in KZN, and what came to the space with regard to the incidents that are happening in investigations that have been dealt with by the team in Gauteng. But more importantly, Commissioner, Chair, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, I wanted to bring to the attention of the Portfolio Committee the involvement of someone who's not a police officer on the matters of the police, on the affairs of the SAPS, and that was Mr. Groenewald. And I narrated in terms of how he came to be known by myself and what I since learned about his involvement in the business of the SAPS. And I presented that in the presence of the executive of the police, from the minister, deputy ministers, and as well as the national commissioner, before the parliament. So it was my hope that when we are presenting such, that there is someone who's not a police officer that has got access to police things, sensitive things, that the attendees in the meeting are going to take that serious going forward. And when I also spoke on that meeting, I made mention of the bad things that were happening at crime intelligence, according to my experience, that happened in 2011, 2012. And I drew parallel to what was happening then as compared to what is happening now. That beside the National Commission had made his opening statement on the very same meeting on the 5th, where he mentioned that when we are trying to deal with the bad ones at crime intelligence, those that are so used to benefit illegally within the resources of the state at crime intelligence, and the only way to counter the action that the management is taking against them is to invite the media and invite the so-called whistleblowers, invite the people that are very vocal and have got a lot of followers out there, including some journalists, to start spreading lies. And unfortunately, the lies that have been spread, the members that's supposed to pause and investigate, they don't do that, they believe it. And when they believe it, it then damages the institution as a whole. So I wanted to indicate that, Honorable Chair and honorable members, that we have experienced this in 2011, and it's happening again now. We should ask ourselves a question as to why is it happening? Something must be done. For my response then to be addressed in a manner that the minister responded by simply saying, I'm no associate to the person that Jerome Kwana is referring to. And it ends there. It was rather disappointing. Because I'm presenting evidence that says, here is a man who talks about police secret things. He sends me WhatsApp. In his WhatsApp, he attaches presentations of crime intelligence. And he tells me about General Khans that are in meetings, that I must ask them for further details of presentations. And then you ask yourself, but we have General Khans in crime intelligence that are part of meetings. Why a person is not in the police has that information? It simply says, someone in the meeting is sharing this information to a person outside the meeting. So it was a worry. So that's what I can summarize here, that in short, bringing this thing to the attention of the Portfolio Committee was to trigger an action that, although it was not in presentation form, on black and white, submitted to the Portfolio Committee, but it was to trigger the further interrogation of these allegations that I'm making. But I must say, maybe it happened, I don't know. I was never invited after that to date until, well, the 6th of July. I must say, Honorable Chair and members, I'm glad we did that on the 6th of July because we're invited here now to elaborate more on this, which I thought we would have done it on the 5th of March.